I've come to a newfound interest of college students and how they really do not know what it is that they believe in, what it is that they're talking about, or what it is that they're saying. These people are completely brainwashed, and we are going to just see just how they are. As I usually say, I am not going to talk anymore, so let us get into the video.
We're at Oxford University asking students whether they identify as a socialist or as a capitalist. Are you a socialist or a capitalist?
Oh God, socialist.
Socialist?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, oh gosh, I'm a bit caught off guard. I'd say
take your time.
I'm not a capitalist. So, does that mean I have to be a socialist? I guess.
Let's start with what you don't like about capitalism.
Well, I'm a humanities student, and I feel like everything I've learned has taught me that having profitability as your main purpose probably doesn't always make you a great person.
Human beings in the West never cease to amaze me with the stupidity that they continuously come out with. These people will be the very first people to complain about how capitalism is evil. We don't like capitalism. We need to destroy capitalism. But everything these people live by all revolves around capitalism. I'm sure I can guarantee you, because I've seen it for myself, majority of these college students, especially in England, all seem to have Android or iPhones, which capitalism is solely responsible for. All the clothes she wears is all a result of capitalism. These people do not know what they're talking about, and they just keep regurgitating the things that they hear from their friends and their college professors.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay, that's interesting. How do you feel about the invention of the iPhone, for example?
Well, I've got one.
I kid you guys not. I am just watching this video for the first time, just like everybody who's watching my video, watching this video. I told you, this person more than likely has an iPhone, because most students do, but they'll be the first ones to complain about capitalism and how it's supposedly evil, while they're directly contributing to this so-called evil capitalistic society.
Why? They're useful, aren't they?
They're pretty handy. Yeah.
Do you reckon the free market, and I'm not talking about unregulated Wild West American corporatism or monopolies, I'm not talking about that. The idea of capitalism is that you and I come up with an idea, so it's all about technological innovation, advances in how we think, what we do, creating products, supply and demand. We do that. It could be pharma, healthcare, whatever, saving lives, there you go, tanks to fend off Russians, whatever you're into. Do you think that comes from ideas, and then you and I going and doing that, and then we need a team and we need people to go and do the work, and then they hopefully achieve some sort of job satisfaction, get paid for it, and then as an idea, as a marketing, as an economics model, capitalism, that has some benefits, some pluses, at basic level?
Do I agree with that?
Would you agree that has some utility?
Yeah.
Sure. But you identify as a socialist?
I mean, I think it's quite a difficult thing to go and ask people, like, are you a socialist or a capitalist? Like, do you think that you can only be one or the other?
Typically, yeah. Having asked this question as many times as I've asked, typically, yeah, very much so.
Okay.
Well, for example, I was with a chap earlier on, he's part of the Socialist Workers Club, so
Right.
it's devout socialist. No pay is ever enough, the unions rule, and a lot of Marxists I speak to say it's all about bringing the unions back, not about anarchy, it's about bringing the unions back and bringing down government, but the unions would become government by definition. Right. So it's about asking students what they think about whether they are actually part of the free market and they want to be left alone by the government, or whether they actually want government control. So socialism typically means that the state controls the taxation and the money, and then they distribute as they see fit. So can we trust politicians to do that? Can we trust the government?
Oh, can we trust the government to, well, the current government or government in general?
Just government in general and politicians. Can we trust them to do the right thing with our money?
I mean,
from a high taxation perspective. See, if there's a low taxation government, then it's limited government economically. Regardless of what they're doing culturally, it's limited economically. So which world would you rather live in? When you look at your pay packet with your high-flying career from Oxford, and you say 50-60% maybe has gone on tax, but the government...
I'll keep saying this. College students will never realize this until they eventually go out into the world and have to actually fend for themselves. And then they see that people are taking things from them all in the name of distributing things around, which is what they really stand for. The problem with these people is they love socialism as long as it's not affecting them, or as long as it's not their resources that are being shared amongst everyone. They love it then as long as they're receiving and never giving to anyone.
Decide where it goes?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like until that actually happens to me, then I probably haven't. I don't know if I trust the government right now.
And with your money, not just trust, but with your money as well.
Yeah, probably not.
As I said, these people have not experienced anything, but they will be the first one to talk about how socialism is good. And now here she is saying, until I've experienced it, which is why I always say socialists are really just selfish people who want to take from everybody else. But when it comes to their own individual lives, they don't want to do anything.
Your degree and everything that you've had to work for, etc., etc. Okay, so let me leave you this thought. A lot of people I speak to, I say capitalist or socialist, and they say socialism. Actually, they might not be a socialist, but actually rather it's in opposition to unregulated capitalism because they see the inequality in the world.
Before we get back into the video, I need everyone to turn on their post notifications so that you get notified whenever one of my videos come out. Like the video as much as possible, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow me on Twitter at YinkaThatGuy. Let us get back into the video.
Right, so what are you?
I'm pro free market. So we should be able, the government should not interfere with us. They should not interfere with you and I getting on. We need to feed our families, feed ourselves, and we get on. So limited government in that regard. But we see that socialism's trending and on the rise again, which is rebrands itself every 10 to 15 years.
So are you a bit slightly concerned by that?
Slightly concerned about what's getting pumped out of our universities, yeah. So we work exclusively on university campuses to try and get raw data. Yeah, and it's worrying. And a lot of people, the other thing they say before we close is, I'm not sure, I need to do more research. But off the bat, they'll say, I'm a socialist, or I'm more socialist. But actually, socialism's never worked anywhere in the world.
Interesting. Okay.
What a great interview.
Sorry, that was like the opposite of a good interview.
No, not at all, because what we do is we get honest opinions, because it's not mainstream media. We're at Oxford University asking students whether they're a capitalist or a socialist.
I'm just going to say it here, the short hair always gives it away. I might be wrong as the interview goes on, and as I've said, I've not watched this interview myself, but let us see what the answer is going to be.
Are you a capitalist or a socialist?
Socialist.
Socialist. So I find that some people often break it down. They say they define the difference between communism and socialism and all this other type of stuff. And I say, look, socialism means the government control a huge amount of taxation and then they distribute equally from there. Would you agree that's what socialism, in a bite-sized chunk format to a child, would that be socialism as far as you're concerned?
I think
Redistributive wealth?
to some extent, yeah. I don't think I know enough to say enough about it in the sense that, I don't feel confident enough in I don't know that much about it, but I think so.
This is what I mean by these people are completely brainwashed. You don't have to answer as to whether you are a socialist or you prefer capitalism. You could just say, I don't know enough on both, so I prefer not to answer and I'm not going to comment on the situation. But as I have said, these people are NPCs and whatever they've been programmed to say is what they say. How in the blue hell can you say that you're a socialist and then a few seconds later say you don't know much about it to comment on it? Make it make sense.
Okay, so no, that's interesting. So when you say you're not a capitalist, you're a socialist, what is about socialism that you like?
I just really don't like capitalism, and I think that people deserve to be treated fairly and there should be less inequality in society.
Okay, so when you say you don't like capitalism, are there companies that you're thinking of that you know of where you think actually that's workers aren't treated fairly, for example? They're all paid a salary, but I presume you're saying not enough. Are there any companies?
And I also just think political structures and kind of legislations and stuff that are in place and the kind of ideologies behind it, of the kind of meritocratic sort of thing of if you work for it you can get it, which then kind of completely ignores the fact that everyone's coming from a different starting place and there are lots of other things that can get in the way.
You don't believe in meritocracy?
Not in the extreme sense. Obviously there are certain things you can do, but I think as an idea it's very toxic.
This is the most hilarious thing I have ever witnessed. The irony of this woman going to college and talking about she doesn't believe in meritocracy. Just imagine that she studied for years upon years, because also in university and colleges, people are not starting on the same playing field. Some people are in more dire situations than other people. The fact that she thinks everyone should start on a level playing field is so hilarious, especially the fact that she's in college where you have to work for the results that you get.
Just not great.
So what about all the students at Oxford University, the most prestigious university in the world?
Yeah.
How would you feel? How does that link to what you're saying there? So if you're here at Oxford University, that's about as privileged and as special as it gets.
Mm-hmm. And it's not, like, there are things that they're supposedly trying to do to reduce, like, the unfair things, but the truth of the matter is people are coming from different backgrounds, and there are people who are much more likely to get in just from where they've come from, and there are people who work ridiculously hard and don't get in here.
And this is also proving the point as to when I said that they don't care about equality as long as it's not themselves that have to provide said equality. Why don't you fight for people to take your position who are not as well off as you are? Why don't you advocate for that? If you're so strong about the position that you hold, you should be advocating for people who are in more dire situations than you to be able to take your position. But as I've said, they don't want to give up anything. They want everyone else to be socialist while they sit in their comfortable universities and colleges, while she's also engaging in the capitalism she says is evil.
So, like, with interviews on the day, like, you could be having a bad day and not get in. Like,
With regards to, just closing up, with regards to low tax versus high tax, would you be a fan of high taxation as a socialist by saying the government, we trust them, we trust politicians, and the government will redistribute effectively, rather than the free market argument, which is the government should be limited economically and we should be left to get on with our own devices?
again, this is not something I claim to know very much about. I'm not as educated on politics as I would like to be.
Sure.
And, like, it's not something, and, like, I don't know enough about how it works and, like, the ins and outs of it, but I would say that I think, like, I am for higher taxing, but with more nuance than that about, like, how that's decided. Because, I mean, obviously it's very difficult to do that in a way that is fair, but a way to make it fairer than it currently is. And, like, stopping extortionate wealth on the higher end.
Are you a capitalist or a socialist?
I would say I am a socialist.
So,
Why are you a socialist?
I'm gonna rephrase to a socialist in a market-based economy, i.e. government intervention, to ensure everybody starts at the same level or has the same prospects.
So we're talking economics now, not so identifying as a socialist economically, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, I don't, like, verge to one of the two things, like, drastically. I just, like, tend towards that more because, you know, yeah.
In what sense isn't it economic?
So you've got cultural, societal, and economic. So I mean it in an economics capacity when I say, are you a socialist or a capitalist? Socialist being state control, high taxation, the government, we trust the politicians, we trust the government, and then they distribute the money as they see fit. Free market economics is you, me, our families are left alone to go and do what we want, essentially. I'm not saying that there would be no regulation, but the idea of capitalism is that idea. We go and create companies, we create jobs, we create wealth.
Yes.
So you would say based on that you're a socialist? Economically?
I think there should be the free market with government intervention such that where you end up isn't dependent on where you start.
These people are absolutely confused. They say utter nonsense and they just regurgitate things that they've heard from friends and just anywhere in general, really. But anyway, that was another video, another reaction. As I usually say, if you guys enjoyed the video, like the video as much as possible, comment down below, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow me on Twitter at YinkaThatGuy, and I am out.